You're listening to Peaceful Prosperity. I'm your host, Oliver Manalesa, and it is with great pleasure that I am joined by Christopher Lockhart, who has become a dear friend of mine, who's here to as today's client spotlight interview to share his experience of being in the coaching program, what his journey has been in this work together, in the space that we've held together for over a year. And what can I say before we get into it? Christopher, I would say, how would I introduce you? I would say first, you're a man of God. I think faith and spirituality is very central to who you are as a man, and you are a husband, like a very devoted husband to a beautiful wife, Chantal, who I know will be part of the story, which we'll get into, and three beautiful children. Um, and you are a sailboat racer. Yeah, you're a sailboat racer, living right by the water, in a very beautiful town, kind of a dream town. Somebody who is, I would say, also a high achiever, someone who has many aspirations, many goals, different ventures, different interests that you are into. You're a multi-passionate man, Christopher. So it's hard to pin you down, but I wanted to do my best. I would say also, this is me fluffing your pillow now, because
I'm already fully fluffed, so
I love it.
be
Well, you know
careful.
what? You have a very beautiful. I'm grateful that you're willing to share your journey here today, because you have such a as the if you're listening, that you will be able to experience yourself. Just you have a very articulate way, a very artistic and poetic way, cinematic way of expressing your experiences, your story, your insights, your journey. And I mean, when you speak, it's so beautifully communicated. I see pictures in my head, and I have emotions that flood through me. And what better person than Christopher Lockhart? Well, that's my introduction for you.
I appreciate that introduction. I think that we could just leave it right there. And I can take that and go. I'll be like, I'm gonna put that on my LinkedIn page and let the world know about that. Appreciate you inviting me on to give my story of how we were connected and just being in the program and how being in the room with you and in conversation with you has really affected a great amount of change in my life. So this is an awesome opportunity for me as well. Happy to be here. And yeah, this is awesome.
Mm. And thank you to your family for giving you some space, so that we can have a very, like a very focused conversation. And so they're supporting you, and they support you every week when you come to the sessions as well. They see what you're doing, and how you're investing in yourself, and doing the work. And I think it's really admirable that you demonstrate that to your family, and that you get their support and let them know that you are committed in this way of becoming, the version of yourself that you know that you could be, and working at it. So I thank them as well for giving us the space.
For sure. They've gone through many different versions of me. So I feel like being able to be in this space gives them a better version of who I can be. So I feel like it's important work not only for me but also for them.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit from your words. How would you describe yourself, and who you are, and what you're about?
Well,
Not just like, what do you do, Christopher?
I wouldn't
Not just
I,
that, but
I wouldn't describe
the
me
substance.
as favorably as you did. You described me more favorably than I would describe myself. I love that you called me a man of God. It's a title that I cautiously um, identify with, but I've really been able to grow into over my ups and downs and different stages of life. In some ways, I've always been in the faith, but have had various times where I explored outside of the faith. So that's my most prized title and my most humbling title, and probably maybe my most difficult title to fully grip onto. Um, but I know it's more important than anything else that I identify with. I'm uh, I'm a sailor, as you mentioned, which is extremely important to me. It's my passion. It's my safe space. I love doing it. When I'm not doing it, I'm thinking about doing it. When I'm thinking about doing it, I'm actually planning on doing it. So, definitely a huge part of my journey is my passion of sailboat racing and traveling and going to different places and seeing them through the unique vantage point of a sailboat. I'm a husband, and my wife's also in the program with you, so you guys have been able to dive into the work together as well. I'm a father of three: MJ, Ari, and Ocean, and yeah, it helps me to have conversations and connect with them. I am a Salesforce implementation specialist. I work with aircraft, so an aircraft manufacturer. And so I work in kind of a factory as an IT guy, which I love and appreciate. I do some things in the biopharmaceutical realm as well when it comes to skincare and sunblock, and do a bunch of cool, nerdy stuff in that space. And, you know, I get to do a lot of awesome things, but it was important for me to, surround myself with the right team and the right individuals. So that's what's cool about this program.
Mm. Yeah, actually, it's interesting because though, the aspect around identity that's based in faith and kind of like the timing of how we got connected, which was really, I mean, for me, it means something because maybe just days before you and I were introduced to each other, I've had a challenging season in life, not just in my coaching practice, but I've been having one of the more challenging seasons in my life and in my coaching practice. And regularly, I'd ask myself, and this time I was very much more seriously, like from a place of humility, just praying and asking God, do you need me somewhere else? Like, do you need my gift somewhere else? Because this doesn't seem to be clicking the way that it used to be clicking. And it was very shortly after that that we were introduced to each other and that you joined the program, and what you brought into the space of those conversations in that program, and with your spirituality and your relationship with God, it was just like, wow, very interesting timing that it kind of like was like, as much as my job is to coach and guide and facilitate, it was also, I learned from you too, and you helped open doors as well for me, in terms of helping deepen my own relationship with God. So in some ways I could see that as like, that's an answer. Like, Christopher Lockhart is an answered prayer just over a year ago, and it just happened in such a poetic way. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to share, that because I feel like it's there's something very special about that to me.
Well, I came in like a self-professed Jesus freak, so I I wear that hat. I wear that hat pretty openly, whether it's in my like professional, personal, or leisurely life. It's just something that I wear, that I take with me. So I appreciate that you appreciated it when I came in. Definitely an important part of myself, but yeah, just to dive into it, at the time that I'd reached out to you, I'd been in various coaching programs. The the first coach that I had was Coach Colin, and Coach Colin was one of your former students. And so I had connected with him through the church, and I'd seen him post videos online about habit tracking, and he'd do different runs, and he really seemed to be living out a lot of the materials that I'd been reading, a lot of the things that I was interested in. He was actually not only interested in it, he was actually implementing it in his own life. And so I reached out to him to connect with him on, what he was doing, what his process was. I would later find out that he was a coach and that he had a coaching program. So I ended up signing up for his coaching program. And that was amazing. It was phenomenal. I was working in the homeless community in the night. So I'd work like an overnight shift in the homeless community in Oshawa. And during the day, I was working as a Salesforce consultant for multiple companies. So my life was really busy, and even though my life was really busy and I had the two jobs, I was having just an ongoing issue that I never really addressed, which was that I never really took on the financial responsibility of my family. And so, whether it was me that was supporting them, whether it was my family that was supporting them, whether it was my wife that was financially supporting them, or somebody else that was financially supporting them, it wasn't my responsibility to financially support them. And so, at the end of that coaching program, one of the things that Coach Colin challenged me to do was to apologize to them for not assuming financial responsibility for them. And so after that last call, so we did 10 sessions. That was the last session, the 10th session. He challenged me to do that. And I got up, gathered the family around the kitchen table, and I apologized to them for not assuming financial responsibility for them. And it was a major milestone moment. It was terrifying for me. It was really difficult, but that was kind of a first step in the process that really brought some transformation into my life. Uh, Basically, from that point, within less than 6 months, I was in a completely different town, in a completely different role, with a job that made me more than my previous jobs combined in terms of salary, and things had really shifted for me, which was awesome.
What a breakthrough.
Yeah, it was a breakthrough and completely different financial position, which is surprising since one of the things that I ended up doing was quitting one of the jobs based on Coach Collins' recommendations. So it was just like completely crazy and wild. But I ended up landing in a good space, good financial position. But despite that, things were happening internally within me that was causing uh, serious health issues. So I didn't know it at the time, but I would go into work one day and I would notice the screen was blurry. And I'd be like, all right, maybe I'm getting older. Maybe I need glasses. I don't know what's going on. And it happened a few times where at like a certain time in the day, my eyes would kind of blur at the screen, and I would try to adjust it, try to adjust my seat, try to gain back focus. And sometimes I'd be able to, sometimes I wouldn't. But one morning when I logged in from the get-go, the screen was blurry. And I found this very
Mm,
weird because I was thinking maybe my eyes are getting exhausted as the day progresses or whatever. But it turned out that, right from when I turned on the computer, my eyes were blurry. So I was kind of concerned, but I texted Chantal and I'm like, I'm getting old. I think I need glasses. And I told one of my colleagues that the screen was blurring. I'm getting old. I need glasses. And he's like, you should check your blood pressure. So I
mm,
waited to lunchtime, and at lunchtime, go in the car, jump in, and go to a pharmacy. And my blood pressure was just through the roof. So that was like, red flag right there. Like things aren't going the way that I think they're going. And there was a bunch of moments that were red flags for me, just losing my cool with the family, just like white knuckling it outside in the car before going into the home, like just what was my outside appearance to other people wasn't what was going on internally. So my outside world looked phenomenal, looked great, but my inside world was just chaos. And so I tried to get back into Coach Collins' coaching program. So I'm like, Coach, I need coaching, da da da. And I did a few attempts, and he'd blown up on YouTube, and he was doing a bunch of stuff that was phenomenally awesome, but occupying his time. So even though sometimes he would make arrangements with me and stuff like that, it just wasn't happening. It got to the point where I just tried sending him money to see if I was aware of this. I'd just catch him. And yeah, but it was really hard to really lock him in. He did support me through like voice notes, and every once in a while we'd have conversations, and he was still, supporting me, but just not being able to dedicate the type of time that I really needed in terms of a coaching program. And I mean, to this day, I still consider him one of my closer friends, and he still supports me in some way. Um, but basically, eventually, he got to the point where he's like, "Yo, Chris, like this isn't gonna happen." And I'm just like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" And he's like, "Well, I could introduce you to my coach." And I'm like, "Your coach?" And I'd always heard about you through him. And so when he was like, "I'm gonna introduce you to my coach," I was like, "All right, I'm through to the second boss. This is awesome." So so I was really excited. And then I think we started to like he made the connection on WhatsApp, and then we started to voice note back and forth a little bit. And we quickly arranged for a sit down session, like an exploratory session or a discovery call, is I think the right term for it. And so I grabbed the laptop, jumped into the basement, set it up. I think that first call with us was like 2 hours. And like right from the beginning, it was like, okay, we are deep diving here. And I knew right away that this is something that I needed now. Like
mm,
I needed yesterday, like weeks ago, months ago. This is what I needed. So after I got off the call, walk upstairs, Chantal's sitting on the couch. I look at her, tears in my eyes, and I'm like, we're going to be okay. And that was it. That was like, okay. Um, I didn't know.
this is what I was talking about.
Yeah, and I didn't.
Your storytelling,
Well, I didn't.
your ability to articulate what the journey has been.
Yeah,
I mean, Well, like first of all, I think what you were talking about when it comes to things on the outside were looking great, but on the inside, there was a lot of there was a lot that was happening. There was the white knuckling, there was the high blood pressure, there was the, having moments, just having outbursts. And I think it's so important that we all realize that these are just signs, these are indicators, these are symptoms of things that are happening underneath. And to me, I call it the war within. That at some level we're at war with ourselves and it's causing friction. We could be breaking some personal boundaries, some core values or principles we swear by. And if we're betraying those aspects for long enough, it's bound to create some of that internal conflict. And if we leave it in a corner and we don't look at it, it builds, it grows and festers. And it's easy to, especially because like you, Christopher, and like myself, um, there's a level of charisma and energy and leadership and power that's present, that's very real, but also we can lean on muscle memory sometimes and just be like, well, this is just my mode. I know I can turn the gear on of just like, all right, I'm white knuckling in the car, but I go through the threshold, the doorway of my home, and I can be back to who I'm supposed to be. I can be behind the scenes, feeling what I'm feeling, but I cross through another threshold of the office and I'm the person, the man that I'm supposed to be. And that muscle memory, it's so convincing to others and even ourselves that we don't realize it's back there. And if we leave it long enough, I think that's when it turns into those moments of outbursts or despair. That's where the pain really starts to arise. What made you what made you feel like um, to reach out to Colin and then reach out to me, like to have that? What made you feel inspired to do that? Because that's not a natural. I mean, you had worked with him already before, but I mean, you're a resourceful person. You're learned. You study, you research, you read, you listen. There's things that you do on your own. What made you feel like I need someone outside of myself for this?
Yeah, I I do understand that it's not the most common thing to do to reach out in the way that I did. I think one of the kind of core values I think that I've kept with me and why I love sailboat racing so much is it's a team sport. Like I was like they just had like the first few NBA games, and so I haven't been really following the NBA for years, but it just like it reminded me of like being like this little kid touching a basketball for the first time, dribbling it around, passing it around with your teammates, having a great time, that type of stuff. And I've always been a very big believer in the kind of player coach relationship, like somebody that can take you from a player that can't dribble the ball or can't shoot the ball to somebody that can dribble, pass, and do all the fancy stuff or whatever. It's just like, man, that's awesome. Like in sailboat racing, we can take somebody that never been on a sailboat, and if they're willing to put in the time, we can take you from somebody that's never been in a sailboat to somebody that can operate a sailboat, and somebody that can operate a sailboat in a sailboat race, which is like, next level.
Mm,
So even though that's great in a sports context, there's other battles that I was fighting and more important battles that I was fighting. So they were the internal battles that I was fighting and losing. And I think that there's a lot out there that seems like the solution. So YouTube University is something that I've frequented so many times in my past, and thinking that it's the next episode of this podcast that's going to be the episode that gives me the breakthrough, or it's going to be the next book by this author that's going to give me the breakthrough. And I think knowledge is great. It's awesome. But I think for real transformation, I think it's really tremendously difficult without a community. And whatever form you get that community in, you know, pursue it, seek it out, find it. Uh,
Mm,
I felt very called to Coach Colin, just like I felt very called to you. So I do have a number of individuals within my circle that I consider mentors. So individuals that are in places of whatever field that I feel have achieved a certain level of accomplishment that maybe I want to duplicate, or some part of it that I want to implement into my life. And so I have a lot of mentors, and mentors are awesome. But there's a big difference between a mentor and a coach, because a coach is somebody that you're actually accountable to rather than somebody that just inspires you, but you can say no to, or yes to, or be close to for this time. But then when they call you out on something, you just switch to the other mentor. And so, you know, me, like everybody else, I can avoid accountability like the plague, basically. And I really wanted a designated person that I gave a certain level of authority to, that I was accountable to for the goals that I wanted to seek out internally. So it was
mhm,
really a unique skill set that would be required in order to do that, in that they had to have the coaching skill, but they had to have the types of insight that I needed, because I needed inside work, not outside work. I didn't need somebody to teach me how to be a better sailor. you know, I needed somebody to solve my war within, basically. And yeah, I mean, I'm a believer. So God just, I put in a request. I'm like, I need I need a coach, and coaches came. So I really got to appreciate that blessing. And like, just being in the space of you guys, it's just been so phenomenal. And I don't know how many people are that blessed to be able to have a circle that I have. And I tell Chantel all the time, I'm like, our circle is our unfair advantage. So this circle has been my unfair advantage, and I reached out because I truly believe that you would be able to take me from where I was to where I wanted to go.
what made you feel like you had enough from that first conversation to go to your wife with tears in your eyes and say, "We're gonna be okay"? Like, what was it that made you feel confident about that enough to say that?
It's interesting because to tell you a tangible reason, I really don't know. Um,
Well, I mean, no, intangible, because we're talking about internal
Intangible.
stuff.
I mean, I think the depth that you went to in the first call, and just knowing that you were Coach Collins' coach, and that we would be in this coach coaching relationship, I was like, this is going to be the game changer for me. This is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I've been seeking out. And Coach Colin wasn't easy, especially near the end, trying to get him into sessions and stuff like that. I think even in the beginning he wasn't that easy, but I was always like, yo, this is what I need, this is what I want. So even I can be, and I have this tendency in other spaces, I realize, even in like work and professional context, like, me calling you and you not responding to me means nothing to me.
You're like a coach's dream client in that way, where it's like like you're seeking the support, and I think sometimes coaches can struggle with feeling like that they're trying to chase after, their clients and making sure that they're supported. So in that way, it's amazing that you have that compulsion to just be like, like, give me the feedback, give me the guidance, like, show me what I'm not seeing. And it does show. It shows every time we're together every week, you know? Um so like from there, what were you expecting? Like what did you expect was you were gonna get, and what did you think you were gonna be able to achieve from that beginning point?
Well, to be honest with you, I think I had some expectations in terms of like super productivity, being able to run multiple businesses, pursue my career, be awesome in sailing, awesome dad, awesome um, husband, all wrapped up into one. Um, which eventually um, would have. I basically was asking to be a functional addict. Is is what I
Oh
think
my
is doing.
gosh, dude.
Like I wanted to be a functional addict. I wanted to be
Oh,
addicted to productivity, addicted to high performance, addicted to all these businesses and all these ideas. And I just needed somebody to teach me how to implement like 1,000 different, like one of the things, and this started from all the way back in Coach Collins' day. Like I had like 4 journals when I was in Coach Collins' training program. So I had like the some lines a day, I had the gratitude journal, I had one that was like free form, I had one that was like page a day. Like it was just like all these different journals, and then I'd have the habit tracking, and then like Coach Colin would be like, okay, like max 5 habits. We're gonna work on these 3 habits, then we're gonna work on 2 habits. I'd be like, 10 to 20 habits, da 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 da. It was just all so much. And then a lot of his coaching was actually getting me to stop doing a lot of what I was doing. And with you as well, it's been how can I be okay with not being this like hyper productive, hyper, habit tracking, functional addict, So I guess that was my expectation was you were going to make me the functional addict. That's basically what I expected to get out of the coaching program.
my coach, he said, for that kind of person, he's just like, yeah, there's people out there who are looking for a coach. What they're really looking for is a drinking buddy. You know,
Exactly.
someone who's gonna help them just validate their addiction. I mean, if you're a self-help junkie, you're an optimization-aholic, uh, over functioning, over opt. It's in some ways, it's a sign that that there's more potential inside of you, and that you're seeking better, and that you are an action taker. So those are all positive signs. Just learning, just absorbing, not doing anything with it is a symptom of something else entirely. Um, but yeah, to think that you're going to enter into this coaching experience and it's just going to make you a functioning addict. It was a stark difference. Because how would you describe that? Like we confronted that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll like one of the first exercises that we did was you requesting that I print out a picture of my like 12-year-old self. So, I printed out a picture of my 12-year-old self, and I still have it. It's not too far from me actually right now, but it's me on a bike on a street that I grew up in, and it was kind of like an anchor point for me. And it kind of encouraged me to get back to who I really am and who my authentic self is. So you strip away the titles, you strip away the productivity, you strip away the value that's connected to performance. And what do you have underneath all that? What do you have underneath the university degree? What do you have underneath the job title? What do you have, without the faith community? What do you have without, even without the wife and kids? Like, what do you have at your core?
And who
And
are you
and who are you?
without all those things?
Exactly. And so getting in touch with that and being okay with who you really are is so important because a lot of us are chasing productivity just so that we aren't who we authentically are. Like we are running from ourselves with all of these high performance stuff. It's just like, what would happen if you stopped running? And that's what I was encouraged to do in the coaching program was to stop running.
What happened when you stopped running?
It was amazing. It was like, oh man, you're running, so you feel like, man, if I stop running, this bear is gonna maul me, or this wolf's gonna bite off my
It's
leg.
kind of like survival in a way.
Yeah, it's like you're in a survival mode, you're running through the forest, you're doing things you wouldn't otherwise do, but you know you have to do it because you're trying to get away from whatever's chasing you. All that to stop and realize that nothing is chasing you.
You know, it's so amazing the way that you put it, right? Like you're kind of like running away from yourself with all of that. Like what you are chasing in terms of chasing achievement, high performance, hyper productivity, you're actually in that chase, you're escaping yourself. You're running away from yourself.
You are. You're just we are a generation of we're a bunch of distraction addicts.
Mm. You know, and there's something that you said to me because I feel like that was it. There's aspects of that that shine through um, when you are using, let's say, you're using technology or using AI to kind of like deconstruct some of the things we've been working on. And, you know, there's something that you observed in terms of the difference between kind of like that hyper analysis of what we talk about and what we discuss and versus when we're actually together, like in the space, in the conversation with the group, with other souls who are walking with you, with us. Like there's a major difference.
Well, I think what it comes down to is connection. Um, I think inevitably what a lot of people are missing is authentic connection, both with themselves and with others. And everything that they're doing is to try to get that connection. Um, I'm reminded of the individuals that are in more pain than anybody else, and those are individuals in solitary confinement. They're just separated from other individuals. Um, I feel like if you're not doing life in connection, then it's really difficult for you to progress in one direction or the other because it's not an equation that you're trying to solve. And so it's very rare that you're just going to read something in a book and that's going to transform your life, or you're going to come across a piece of content on the internet. Like you very rarely hear a testimonial like, I saw this on TikTok and it changed my life. It's just like it doesn't happen in that way. And sometimes we learn about little hacks and little things that benefit you, but if you really want to do the work happens in coaching and it happens in community. And one of the first benefits that I told you that I got out of coaching, it wasn't only coaching with you, it was coaching with others. So it was like that communal setting. And I think as human beings, we've really lost community. I know, I think I heard like Trevor Noah said it. Like we move into the city and now we pay for daycare and we, pay for somebody to clean our house and we pay for somebody to cook or we eat outside and all these different things. And all those things are what we got in the village. And it's not to say that people are cooking and cleaning for you in the coaching program, but in a way, I think you're getting a part of that intimacy that human beings basically lived with for all of time and have stopped doing in modernity. And I think if you're able to find your tribe, find your community, then a lot of the things that you're running from inside of yourself are going to be reconciled, not only by yourself, but by the
Mm.
community.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really it has always stood out to me, the feedback that you've given, because I've been doing I've had the group coaching practice for a few years now, but when you said, "Man, I thought I was entering a group and getting coached by you, but actually I'm getting coached by a whole group." To have so many people pouring into one another, is such a it's hard to explain, how much that actually moves the needle. And especially for me, when I see it, when I observe it, that you guys, there's so many unexpected parallels that you guys are going through, and there's so many surprising ways that you observe and see each other that I might miss. And it's almost like it just happens at the right time. Sometimes, like a question, an observation, a piece of feedback, a challenge, it's just like, wow, the timing couldn't have been more magical than that. And so I feel like that's definitely, I think it's so true that, that connection and community is an important aspect, in terms of growing. Like you kind of like, you don't, individuals don't grow in isolation. Growth happens with a collective, with an environment, with a tribe, and it's, um, what would you say, like, through that has been some of the, like, when you look back, because you've been in the program for over a year, what would you say has been the things that stand out the most in terms of the breakthroughs or the major wins, like in that time? How would you describe that?
Well, it's good to be in community because one, you don't only get your wins, you get their wins too. So it's like you get to always be
Mm,
celebrating somebody's wins. And also you see yourself in other people and other people see themselves in you. So sometimes you'll end up giving advice to somebody, but at the same time, like you'll be thinking about it, you'll be like, oh man, that's actually what I needed to hear. Like I should be doing that same thing. And then the reverse is also true. So you're really recognizing patterns in each other and being able to reflect that those patterns actually also exist within yourself.
mhm.
So there's
Oh
this,
yeah, and also not to mention that Chantel was in the program at the same time.
yeah, which was phenomenal. That was like,
Like you're both going through
yeah,
the
we were both
program at the
going
same
through
time. I feel like that needs to be in the conversation as well, because when it comes to the shifts that have happened with your lifestyle, with your day-to-day rhythm, with your conversations as a family, as a couple, um like how has that evolved? How has that shifted, would you say?
yeah, I mean, communication was one of the first tangible things that we got out of the coaching program is our communication just went through the roof. And so our relationship, like just being able to communicate through conflicts, do resolution, and just how we conversate for connection rather than solving something, as Chantal likes to say. Um,
Oh, one of my favorite, yeah, one of my favorite moments was when she said that.
yeah,
Conversations conversations for connection, not outcomes.
yeah, and like having that
Brilliant.
space to be able to have conversations and not have expectations out of the conversation is phenomenal, because when you go in with expectations, it's almost like you're setting it up for some type of conflict. Whereas when you allow the conversation to just happen without expectations, you're almost positioning yourself to receive the resolution rather than to wrestle it out of your partner's
Hmm.
hands. So yeah, it's been really good to go through the program as a couple. I think that's been another one of our
That's an unfair advantage,
unfair
man.
advantage for sure.
What do you think? What do you think led? Because this is not a communication course, but we are in conversation for hours each week with each other, observing them, being in them, being, how would you describe why that was like a side effect? Like that was a byproduct that your conversations leveled up as a
Well, I think
couple
one you
or
chal-
communication, yeah.
well, I think when you challenge us to really self reflect and go very deep. So we're both doing our own internal work. And when you're doing internal work, you're healing, but the healing that you're doing doesn't only heal you, it heals the people that you talk to, no matter who that is. So, because I'm more healed, if I have a 5-minute conversation with somebody at work, they're going to walk away a little bit healed too. Um,
Mm,
I drove by a mental health facility today, and I saw somebody sitting on a rock outside of the mental health facility. And I looked at him and I could see his darkness. Like I could see it. I could see his torment. I could see his pain. I could see his suffering in the moment of just driving by. And we're so powerful and so big beyond what we perceive. And um, it goes both ways. When you're a healed person, you automatically heal. And so you get two people that are, you know, going through the process of healing themselves, connecting with the divine. And when they talk to each other, they give each other the space to heal. And it's
oof.
a fine line, right? Because, and you're the one that encouraged us in this, like, you're not trying to heal so much as you're giving somebody the space to heal. So that's the way that we communicate.
So you went in for like help being a functional addict but what you ended up with was healing.
Definitely healing, definitely spiritual growth. I think all problems have a spiritual root to them, and as a Christian, as a believer, that's a huge part of my faith is that you know the spiritual dictates the physical, not the reverse. And even as a Christian, we can get into the habit of trying to change the spiritual through our salary, through how many
Mm.
jobs that we have, through our productivity, through our hard work. And we don't realize it's the opposite. You change the spiritual and it changes the physical. You can't change the spiritual through changing the physical.
I love the way that you communicate all of these truths. It's so bang on, man. Um, what would you say stands out the most over the last 12 months in terms of something like what do you celebrate the most in terms of your own
So
process?
what I celebrate the most is so Chantal had a listing, and outside the listing was a 600-year-old tree.
Yes. When you were talking about your picture. Okay, yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going.
There's a 600-year-old tree, and I wanted to climb the tree, but I didn't want to climb the tree because I felt like, it was be inappropriate for the client if, the realtor's husband just climbs the tree in their front yard. But, I was asking her, I'm like, has anybody climbed that tree? And she's like, no, nobody's climbed the tree, and they've lived in the house for years. And I was just like, I'd been there a few times, and finally I got into the space where like, all right, that's it. I'm climbing the tree. So so I climbed the tree very high up in the tree in the same way that I would have done when I was younger because I loved climbing trees. And, I just spent time in the 600-year-old tree like a
Oh.
kid. And, got a bunch of pictures up there and stuff like that. But really, what I got was that 12-year-old kid that's able to have everything in the world that he needs in that tree and not want for anything, not want for any titles, not want for any productivity or any accomplishments, but just be like, yeah, this is it. This is the top of the mountain. There is nobody higher than me because I'm in this tree and you're not.
Oh man. I love the fact that your biggest highlight, like a sign of your transformation, is that you climbed the 600-year-old tree.
Definitely.
It was like young Christopher,
100%.
that 12-year-old boy in that picture that you printed, or, about a year ago, like being unleashed and being reconnected with them. Because I feel like I'm a grown man, I'm a dad. I have kids. Like, what am I? This is a professional environment. This is my wife's listing. This is her clients. This is, and I'm gonna climb this tree. But I mean, something inside of you woke up, and some other part of like caring what you think, what other people think, or anything like that must have been shut off and let go of. But yeah, I remember when you sent the pictures, I'm just like, wow, that is a boy on that tree.
I am a 42-year-old tree climber.
Yeah. I should have. We have to add that to your intro. That's a new part. Yeah.
Sailor and tree climber.
Yeah, man. Man, I'm incredibly just. What can I say? Watching you, observing you over this past year, and how receptive you are, and how willing you are to be questioned and to be supported by me and everyone else who's in the group is inspiring to me. And I try to tell you guys, I try to tell you as often as I can, but like I was literally on my knees asking God, is this what you need me to be doing still? Do you need me somewhere else? Because if I'm supposed to be doing something else, like please help me know, help me discern like what is next for me. And seeing you every week and your wife every week and your evolution and how you poured back into me, it was very reaffirming and reassuring of like how I'm supposed to be using these gifts and where they're meant to be. So not only is it inspiring, it's like thank you. Like I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you said yes and that you felt called to be in this program, and that you were moved enough to bring your wife along on the journey, and I appreciate you sharing the word with others as well, and coming on to share a bit of your story and what your experiences have been. I think, I mean, I would love to know, what would you say to that version of yourself who was from the beginning? Like, if you could talk to that guy now who was like, oh yeah, Oliver's just gonna help me do what I'm already doing, but less burnt out. Just be like a functioning addict. What would you say to that guy now?
I can't talk to that guy. That guy, that guy,
You've outgrown that guy.
that guy is an addict. You can't talk to him. He needed the work. I mean, I don't know if there's anything I could have said to him other than to work through it. It's like,
Hmm.
and it comes through, like we've recently heard more common, and I think Will Smith might be the most famous example of it, but I've also heard it from Jim Carrey as well. It's just like that wish that you got famous and had all the money in the world to realize that it's not what you think it is.
It ain't it.
And so, part of life is just falling on your face. It really is. And I'm one of those people that mm, I had to learn it, you know,
Hmm.
because people told me that before, people told me that before. It's like, I remember just being outside of a hospital one time, and I'm walking with my daughter. I think she's 2 years old. She's barely, at walking age. I'm holding her hand. And some guys, they're like, that age is precious. Like, get every moment
Mm,
out of that age.
yeah.
They grow up so fast, you know? And
Heed those warnings. Yeah.
so heed those warnings. And, the elders, when they speak, you know, you gotta listen. And, it's rare that they're like, oh,
Those warnings come from pain,
they do. They
you
do.
know?
And, it's rare that people talk about, I should have worked more. I should have been more productive,
No. Rarely, rarely.
you know. So
What would you say to somebody who maybe is in those shoes right now that you were in, like in that same place? Like, what would you
I'd
tell
I'd
them?
be like, find your tribe. I'd be like, one, this tribe is awesome. I think that this is a good structure. Oliver, you have so much coaching experience. You're not new to the game. It's not something that you're trying out, or it's not like a new idea or concept that you've come up with. You come from a wealth of firsthand coaching experiences. You have coaches that also have a wealth of firsthand coaching experiences. You have experiences, you've done the reading, those books behind you, you've gone through. You're the real deal, and there's a lot of actors within the space. I called them Instagram mentors who drive around in. I know it's true. It's like,
Oh, you've never used that. You've never told me about that.
yeah, they're flashy, but flashy things aren't the things that have the most depth to them. And the things that have the most depth to them don't really have to say it and don't have to broadcast it.
Mm.
Oliver, you come from a space that, I appreciate. I sought after you, because of who you are. And I have proven to be right about that in the process of the year, even if I was wrong about what I was getting. So find your tribe wherever your
Mm.
tribe is. If it's not coaching in this program, though, get into a church, get into a mosque, get into a synagogue, get into some coaching program. Find your tribe, because this is a team sport. Life is a team sport, and dreams die in isolation.
I'm taking some of those lines, Christopher.
It's
It's
all
like I'm swiping like a Chantel line, a Christopher line. I'll quote you. I'll give you the attribution. But man, you both drop gold, and I can't wait to hear about what's next for you. Like, what are you excited about next? Now that you're in this place, to me, you exude more of like that childlike playfulness and peace and calmness. There isn't that same level of tension as before. But from this foundation of what you've built, what's next?
well, it's interesting because when you're no longer running and you no longer have to run, you can stay in the same spot and be okay. And I think that's an important part of everybody's growth.
Mm.
But when you can stay in the same spot and be okay, when you decide to move from that spot, you move in a way that's dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so yeah, you're gonna see some dangerous moves from me in the near future.
That's definitely you. That's your word.
Yeah.
That's your new middle name. Christopher Dangerous
There you go.
Lockhart.
There you
Let's
go.
go.
Yeah.
Do you have any final reflections or prayers that you wish to bestow on the soul who's listening to this, watching this today?
Well, just the important part, I think, is the reach out. I think that's a good first step. I think that even in a reach out call with Oliver, even with a few voice notes back and forth, if you have the most minimal interaction with Oliver, you will have a life-changing experience, is what I believe. I honestly believe that. I think that he's on that level that even a brief amount of time with him can be a transformative experience for you. And I can't see a negative in that scenario. Like, I can't see any negative in a scenario of sending him a DM, sending him a message, sending him a voice note, sending him an email, whatever it is. There's no downside to that. And if you show up in a way that's authentic, I know he'll have some gems for you. And, even if it's not him, that's the guy, I know he'll redirect you in a right place just because it's his heart. Like, this isn't this isn't a business for Oliver. This is divine work. This is his purpose. And he greatly desires to transform lives. So you can't go wrong with a reach out. That's all I gotta say about that.
You're amazing, man. Christopher, I don't even know how to receive that right now, but I'm trying. I'm trying to,
All right, you try.
you know. What a blessing to have you on the show today, sharing from your heart, sharing from your guts. Um, from the high blood pressure to the white knuckling to the tears in your eyes to the, doing well on the outside and carrying that within and being moved to get support from Colin, from myself, getting the support of your wife and your family, apologizing to them, letting go of the self-help junkie, addictions, the hyperproductivity addictions, and just being willing to uh be observed and be seen exactly as you are. Like, you're not you go into the process with like a very honest, very earnest approach. You're like genuinely in there. um there's no like performance, there's no show. Like, there's so much presence in what you bring and what you absorb, and it shows because you actually implement and you take action on those insights, and you have slowed down and you are finding peace in the stillness and being hitting the pause, you know, and actually looking around and be like, wow, my life is actually pretty good. Like I feel good with where I am, and that is dangerous. Like that is Christopher Dangerous Lockhart, you know. So I mean, I hope that recapping it like this together um helps you celebrate, helps you recognize just how much ground that you have covered, and how, you know, how the transformation really has taken hold. That you are like you are. It's not like you're a different man because you're kind of more like you are more you, but you're definitely just in such a different space in how your way of being and your thinking and your communicating, that even the way that you said it, it's like you don't even know if you can talk to that guy from a year ago. That guy's not my tribe. I don't. How would I talk to him? But you
Exactly.
know, like I celebrate you today, man, and I thank you for your support, for being willing to share your story like this, and let us take a peek and a snapshot of, you know, what it's been like for you, and helping others see what it could be like for them as well. So very
Yes,
grateful.
for sure. For sure.
Thank you so
Happy to
much,
be
man.
here. No worries. All the
Love you,
best.
brother.
Yeah. We'll see you soon.